In this video we're taking a look at this small voltage amp meter. Now these things are fairly good. I wouldn't say they were very accurate, but in this video I'm going to explain the wiring for you. First we have this large connector with a black wire and a red wire. Then we have a small connector with a red, black and yellow lead. Now the black lead is your negative supply in, and the red lead is your negative output, which is somewhat confusing. Now the small connector, the yellow lead, is the voltage sense lead, and the red and black small leads are for supplying voltage to the display. I will explain that in a moment. I have used one of these on a battery charger where the voltage is somewhere between 12.5, 13, 14 volts. And the current is normally a couple of amps charge, and that's fine because you can supply the power to the unit from the source power. But if you want to measure voltages in low 5 volts, you then need to supply a constant power to the unit, because it works on above 5 volts and up to about 25-30 volts. So anything below 5 or above 30, you need a separate supply. I have built one of these in this little unit, and I'm measuring 10 volts and the current is 0.23 amps, or just over 200 milliamps. I'm sorry about the display flashing. That must be something to do with the camera and the lighting. But I will now explain. So what I've done with this unit, I have the inputs and the outputs, and I'll have a switch that switches an external supply. So when you're measuring lower than 5 volts, I have a 9 volt battery in there, and I can switch that in to supply the unit so you can measure below 5 volts. I've also included a charging socket to charge the battery. I have a 9 volt battery in there, so when measuring lower than 5 volts I can power the unit. I have one of these units on a battery charger, but because the voltage is a constant, say 13, 14 volts, something like that, I can power the unit from its own voltage. That I have included a wiring diagram on this at the end of the video, so maybe that will make more sense than me trying to explain. It is a little bit weird because, as I say, the negative goes to the black wire and the red wire is the negative output. So they're measuring the current on the negative rail. The positive basically goes straight through, and the voltage sense wire, the yellow, connects to the positive. So these little units are pretty good, and depending on what your application is, as I say, if you're measuring a constant voltage or maybe a variable voltage between, say, 5 or 5.5 and 25 volts, you can supply the unit from what you're feeding into it. But as I say, if you want to measure below 5 volts, you've got to supply the unit with its own power. So it's entirely up to you. As I say, this little box I've made will cover all those variations. I have a switch to switch between. That's the battery supply, which is inside the unit. That turns the battery supply off and powers the unit from the input. So I hope this has helped you. I know my explanation has not been really good, but there is a circuit diagram on the end of this video which may help you to wire this up in accordance to the application that you need.